More checks will be on the way, and in just 3 days, direct deposits will be made to many Americans. These payments will be worth over $2,000, and lawmakers in the House and Senate are pushing for the expansion of monthly benefits. And check payouts may be equal to twice as much if this bill is approved. And according to the schedule provided by the Social Security Administration, retirees across the country can anticipate receiving their July Social Security payments, which can amount to a maximum of $5,000 in approximately 3 days. But the big question many are asking right now is whether these benefits should be expanded. The Social Security Expansion Act has been formally introduced to Congress by Senator Bernie Sanders, and this time around he received a lot more backing and support for this proposal. Now, the plan would add $200 to each monthly check for the Social Security who are receiving benefits or who will receive it in 2023. Now, if the plan is passed, Social Security beneficiaries might get an additional $2,400 in payments every year, which would greatly be appreciated by those who are suffering right now in America. Right now, folks, we do know that more stimulus payments are necessary for the people, and Joe Biden should definitely do more to send it out quicker. And if he doesn't, well, more people are definitely going to suffer. And that's something that definitely cannot happen nowadays. This is despite that the measure initial June 9th deduction has remained dormant by taxing the nation's richest incomes. The most recent version of the law ensures that benefit generations will continue to receive the stimulus. And by taxing the nation's richest incomes, the most recent version of the law ensures that future generations will continue to receive benefits throughout 2096, despite the program's lack of funding. And according to an official statement, well, the legislation as written would have applied this increase to people who receive retirement, disability, and survivor, but not those who receive the SSI. Even the Senior Citizens League Social Security and Medicare policy analysts said that SSI is a needs-based program for people with limited income and resources. The SSA was referred to various committees in the House and Senate for discussion. The bill comes on the heels of the Social Security Administration's most recent report on the health of the old age and Survivor Insurance Trust Fund, which is now expected to run out of money by 2023 budget. It's set to go for January 24. And according to the Associated Press, well, the budget will propose indexing state aid for school districts just to help combat inflation. So Waltz has told reporters that I think people are feeling inflation. Even though it might be cooling a little bit, there's a slight sense of urgency among people to get something done. And that's good here. Something should be done because the Governor Waltz's original pitch for the tax rebates has been quite generous for a lot of people. It gives single filers, for instance, a lot of breathing room, a lot of time to just think about what they can do, and now the government has already signed them into a second term. So, though not all of these fellow lawmakers share the priorities, though, because the House Speaker and Majority Leader claimed they wanted to prioritize tax credits for families, giving the families $3,000 for every child 5 or younger, with a cap of $7,500. Even the Massachusetts governor and top lawmakers signaled that a clear picture of potential tax relief may not even emerge until at least the end of January, when a key final metric is actually heard of. So one governor, for instance, said their teams are working closely through numbers and evaluating what's possible. They said that we told reporters how important it is to make sure that we're doing everything we can for the residents of the state. And Healy on the campaign trail had vowed to make progressive permanent tax relief her day one priority. She also had largely echoed support for the now former Governor Charlie Baker's sweeping tax cut proposal last year. And low, middle, and income residents have all received some stimulus payments just to stop the crying at least. But now the IRS said it recently finished correcting tax returns, filing that for 2020. And so the IRS said, folks, that the average tax refund is around $1,200, with tax agencies sending a total of $15 billion back to the taxpayers. So while taxpayers were sent letters from the IRS just to inform them about the fixes to the 2020 tax filings, well, tax review came due to the American Rescue Plan. It was signed by Joe Biden, we all know that, and because the IRS, it reviewed returns filed by workers and even other people who have jobless aid as income. So the IRS told CNBC that some taxpayers received refunds, while others received overpayment applied due to taxes or other debts. In some cases, the exclusion only resulted in a reduction in their adjusted gross income. But now we know that about 14 million tax returns were corrected. The IRS issued refunds for 12 million of those filings. It added individuals, married couples whose adjusted gross income was below 150 grand, or who were eligible to see unemployment and aid untaxed. According to the IRS, it has now finished corrections, everybody. Though it has added taxpayers who are eligible for the exclusion and who haven't gotten a correction from the IRS. Well, they need to be amended very, very quick, or else you won't get that stimulus cash that people need. Wow, we have a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI, SSDI, and I want to go over some very important notes that I have about the fourth stimulus payment and what Joe Biden should do about this fourth stimulus check and what he's going to do now very soon.
Hey everyone, today we honor the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King was a prophet. He saw the future as it could be, a future of equity, justice, and opportunity for all. Dr. King saw the connection between racial injustice and economic injustice, and he knew that to effectively address either injustice, our nation would have to address both. Together, in the spirit of the fight for freedom and equality, let us stand together to end the epidemic of violence and hate in our communities. Let us advance workers' rights and economic dignity. Let us continue to protect and strengthen our most sacred freedoms, the freedom to organize, the freedom to worship, the freedom to make decisions about one's own body.
Now, Chuck Schumer and Manchin are holding meetings on how to move forward with President Biden's Build Back Better bill. Schumer has announced that the bill will be passed very soon. However, there will be some adjustments to the finalized version of the bill. Watch to the end to find out how to receive your fourth stimulus check. Schumer has said that he and other centrist Democrats like Manchin had discussed moving a bill that would unwind parts of the Republican tax law enacted when the former president was in office. The good news is that Schumer has confirmed that the bill could be passed in just a few weeks. The goal is to ease inflation, which is badly hurting economies, and President Biden's approval ratings. Democrats are eyeing a fast-track budget process that would bypass the need for 60 votes in the Senate necessary to overcome a Republican filibuster. Schumer told reporters today, "Look, reconciliation is very, very important, and I met with Manchin this morning. Our meetings were both preliminary and good, and we're going to continue to keep talking." Schumer added to reporters, "If you want to get rid of inflation, the only way to do it is to undo a lot of the former president's tax cuts and raise rates. No Republican is ever going to do that. So the only way to get rid of inflation is through reconciliation." Manchin of West Virginia, who played a key role in stalling the Democrats' sweeping spending bill, cited concerns about its impact on national debt and deficit. After today, meetings with Schumer, Manchin told reporters, "We talked about the tax code and doing something to combat inflation. He's just as concerned about inflation as I am. Reconciliation to me is about getting inflation under control, paying down debt, and getting a handle on what's going on." The West Virginia Democrat voiced an interest in potentially raising the corporate tax rate to 25% and the capital gains rate tax to 28%. To pass the reconciliation bill, Schumer would actually need to keep his entire caucus together, due to the evenly split margins in the Senate. It's unclear if centrist Democrat Kristen Sinema of Arizona, who also played a big role in Build Back Better legislation, is open to negotiations. Schumer has also said that today that President Biden is getting closer to canceling up to $50,000 in student loan debt for borrowers through executive action.